Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Sex, Lies, and Consciousness with your luscious hostess, May Vu, broadcasting live every Monday at 12 noon Pacific Time.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the conversation. This is May, and I wanted to give you a little snippet into how this show started today. The show is called The Power of the Boobs, and it started from a very innocent conversation that I had with my good girlfriend, Victoria, who just got a boob job. And we were hooting and hollering over the new boobs, and I had to see how it feel, and I was just fascinated and envious on my part, actually. So I suggested to her that she needs to talk about these on the show, and she said yes, like all good girlfriends do. And then we started talking about how having new boobs have benefited her, and voila, I realized that there is a much bigger conversation to be had, which is something around the power of the boobs. So to check out my idea, I posted that on Facebook, and a handful of ladies immediately raised their hand and said, I want to talk about my boobs and what I love about them and how what they've gotten for me all throughout the years. So thus the show is, let's look at what boobs can do for women and for men. Hopefully we'll have some men join us on the show today. And if you want to call in, the number to call in is 646-200-0813. 646-200-0813. I probably won't take you on until about halfway through the show, around 12:30 Pacific time, so that way my guests could have a solid chunk of time to just talk and get real with the conversation. But I do want to include other opinions and voices out there. All right, so I'm going to start the conversation with Victoria and just hear from her about her boob journey, like where she started from and how she made this decision and what's happening with her and her new pair. Then I'm going to invite the other ladies to join in and expand the conversation to look more deeply on, like, what do boobs, bigger boobs, I'm assuming bigger boobs, bring to us. But before I start, I wanted to say that it was really hard for me to get women who have had boob jobs to come on the show and talk about their boobs. Even though a lot of them proclaim that they are good with their boobs and their choices, they were just really shy about being public about it. So I wanted to thank Victoria first and foremost for her courage to share her journey. In my book, this is just like way cool about her decision to have a boob job and her courage to make it happen, and now her vulnerability to share it with us. So welcome, Victoria.
Thank you.
So how was it just being here, actually, just like starting to talk about your boobs?
Well, it's great. I mean, I wanted them for years, and I got them in November, and I love them. No regrets.
No regrets whatsoever.
None.
And what were your boobs? What was the size of your boobs when you your natural boobs?
A small D.
That's what I have. And so, what made you decide to have larger ones?
Well, I don't know. I've wanted them for probably at least 10 years. I've wanted them. I just love how they look. I've borderline obsession with them. I can spot them across the room. If someone walks in with a nice boob job, I see them and I think they're beautiful. And I never got them over the years because it just never felt like the right time. I would go to different doctors and, something would always come up. I couldn't afford it at the time, or I didn't like that doctor, or, something was always going on. I was going to be traveling.
Yeah.
And the opportunity came up in November where I knew a really great doctor and I had saved up the money and it just felt right. And so I just went with it.
Well, I've known you for 10 years. That's right. And so I remember us talking about them. I remember you coming closer to doing them and then backing out and then doing them and then backing out and looking for so many different ways. Even, like, I think you were in Argentina or Chile or something like that, and you were going to do them over there and all that stuff,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what was it like to finally decided to do them and then the day before, and then you go in and that stuff?
Well, so again, the situation for me just really felt like it worked out. I actually had an appointment to do it in October, I believe, and the doctor that I ended up going with, I really trust him, I respect him, and I called him the morning of my appointment that I had in October. My appointment was at 8, and I called him at 6 a.m., and I said, I am panicking. I haven't told my family. I'm freaking out. And he said, if you don't feel comfortable, don't come in. And I said, I don't want to do that to you. And he said, not about that. You need to go into this feeling good about it.
Wow.
So I rescheduled for November, and I decided I wanted to go in feeling really comfortable with it. So I detoxed for a few weeks before. I ate really healthy. I worked out really hard. I ended up telling my whole family, my dad, my mom, everyone. And amazingly enough, everyone said, congratulations.
Enjoy.
Yeah. I mean, my dad said, I don't understand why you can't dye your hair if you need a change. But, everybody was really great about it. And so the day that I went in, I felt great. I felt like it was the right time. It was the right doctor. I felt supported.
Yeah.
And, when my girlfriends took me in, and it was an easy experience.
You sounded so powerful. You sound so at choice and so in power of the whole thing. Yeah,
and I feel like I am in power of the whole thing because of the way that I went into it.
Yeah. And I don't know, I hear people have opinions about fake boobs and all this stuff. I can't even think of them right now but I know I've heard them before and I know I've felt them before. But with your energy right now and how you talk about it, that's the only thing I could see and feel right now is like, wow, she's just like totally empowered about this whole process, and she went in and she created the whole experience for herself, and there wasn't any place in there that you were like wimpy or helpless or victim-y or hating your old boobs or anything like that. It was just a really clear space.
Yeah, absolutely. I was never uncomfortable with my old ones. I've always been athletic and, been pretty comfortable with my body. I just thought it was like a fun upgrade. And you're absolutely right. I know, I'm in the industry that I'm in, I bartend, and there's a lot of girls that have them, and I could tell you at least a handful of girls that will deny it to the day they die that they have a boob job.
Right.
I could care less. I tell everybody, because I love them, and it was fun, and it's just, why not have an addition if you want it and just enjoy it?
Yeah. And I don't think I've seen them all the way, but I've seen a peek of them, and they're really beautiful.
Oh, yeah, and my recovery was amazing. I got them done, and the next day I went to a dinner party, and a week later I was running again.
Wow.
And my doctor said that he's never seen anybody recover as quickly as I did.
Yeah, that is so awesome.
Yeah.
So you make it sound so easy, like I want some now.
Oh, well, don't get me wrong. The first day is the most pain I've ever felt.
Yeah.
But, I really think it's a mindset. It's how you go into it.
And then did you have, any problem raising your arms or anything pulling, any negative side effects?
Just the first 24 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first 24 hours were awful. I didn't want to get out of bed at all. It hurt to cough. I mean, it was terrible the first 24 hours. But I had some fantastic friends that sat next to me and fed me crackers, and I stopped taking the medication. I think I took it for 2 days.
Yeah.
And then I decided that I didn't want to be on the medication because I just wanted to feel the pain and let it heal.
Yeah.
And so they give you enough medication to take for 2 weeks, and I just took it for, I believe it was 2 days, and then I stopped, and I was fine within a few days.
And so what have they done for you, like self-esteem wise, or ways of being in the world?
I don't know if they've really done a whole lot of anything. I think they brought me happiness because I wanted them so long.
Yeah.
So it kind of made me feel like maybe a little bit of like a grown-up, because I wanted them for so long, and I kept dreaming about them, and it felt good just to do something that I wanted.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I mean, people often tell me they wouldn't have even known I got them done in just regular clothing because they're not huge, and I don't flaunt them all the time. But I haven't seen a huge difference. To tell you the truth, I haven't seen a huge difference in day-to-day things.
Really? I mean, like, don't you look in the mirror and just go, wow, my body looks really pretty now. Like there's a different proportion to it.
Yeah, I love them. I look in the mirror and I love them, for sure. And I suppose I put on a bra and underwear and I feel sexy because I love them so much. So, yeah, that's definitely there, and maybe that shines through.
I noticed,
yeah.
Definitely, yeah. So, and then how do you notice any different on how you interact with men? What's the internal dialogue in your head?
No, I did notice a bit that people kept telling me you'll get more attention with them, and I thought, no, nobody's, you won't get any more. Yeah, I've noticed a bit. In fact, at the place that I bartend, I've been bartending there for 1.5 years, and there's this group of guys that comes in every single Friday, and they've never, really acknowledged me, just another bartender.
Yeah.
And the first Friday that I saw them after I got done, one of them said, "Are you new here?"
No, he meant, are they new here?
Yeah. It was like he had never even realized that I was standing in front of him before.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I suppose I've seen a little of that.
That's so crazy. I'm sure there are more. So it feels like now is a good time to bring in the other ladies onto the conversation. So I'm gonna introduce you to Maria Appelquist. She's actually from Sweden, and she's here just on a work visit. And so Maria, you're on the line, and Melby is juggling the show and being in meetings, so I'm not sure how often she gets to jump in, but your line is open. And also Michelle Molitor, you're here too. And I believe that all three of you, including me, have natural breast still. Right?
Yeah. Yes, correct.
Yep. And some of you are more endowed than others of us. So those who are more endowed, will you please speak up and tell us about your relationship with your boobs?
I love this. Hi, May. Hi, everyone. This is Michelle. My story is kind of funny, I suppose, or I think it's funny, because growing up I was always a little twig. I was a stick figure, and I was the shortest and the skinniest, and I had no boobs, probably till I was almost a sophomore in high school, and was often mistaken for a boy. And then I finally started to get a little bit of a figure, but not much of one, and always felt like the ugly duckling. And it wasn't until I went off to study in France when I was about 19 that I overblossomed, as I like to say, because I put on about, 60 pounds in 6 months, and eating all that great French food and sugar and butter crepes every day and other whatnots. And I had left the United States at about 115 pounds and came back at about 60, 70 pounds. Had cut my hair off really short and had gone from a B cup to a full-on D. And you can imagine the surprise of my family when I walked off the plane, because they were like, excuse me, but who are you and where did our daughter go? The skinny one. So the good news is that I lost some of that weight, and the boobs never quite went away. So it's been this strange, ironic twist of fate, I suppose, that I suddenly became more endowed, and but I never really saw myself as having big boobs. So it's been this kind of strange mental twist, and it's only been, maybe in the last 10 years that I've really kind of gotten it and embraced it, and like, oh, wow. So it's been a funny journey for me, and I love my boobs. I still don't think they're as big as they are, but I've been told by people that they are, and they're fabulous. So it's all good.
And do you, as you're dating, do you have how do men react to the size of your boobs?
I've noticed that as I've gotten more comfortable with having large boobs, like really getting it and really owning it.
Yeah.
So I've gotten, and in doing that, I wear more V-neck kind of shirts and stuff. And so, to your question, men love boobs. They, I can walk down the street, I can go for a walk, and it doesn't matter. They just like to look at them. It's the funniest thing ever.
It does. And I also noticed the tentativeness about this topic too. It hasn't been spoken yet, but I was just reminded of so many layers in this conversation. Like when I posted this topic onto Facebook, the men were the first one who responded. They're like, hubba, love to have the show. Now you get me fantasizing about them. Thanks a lot. All this great stuff, comments. And then when I invited them to join the show and talk about their experience with boobs, nobody dare raise their hand and said, I'll do it. It's like some kind of stigma, something that is so bad and wrong for them to be public about. And then I also noticed too that, like, when I invited you all to join the conversation, it's like I invited the endowed one, the one with the larger boobs. You get to speak first, because the rest of us, we come after you. And I just noticed that in myself, like, wow, like there's this ranking in my head around, the bigger boobs has more right to talk, have more power or something. So I just want to put that out there and see if we can kick that around. And I also want to welcome Patricia. Patricia is one of my listeners out in Texas, and so she wanted to join the conversation too. So welcome, Patricia.
Thank you.
So any comments from what I just said about the power of the boobs and how bigger boobs get to talk first kind of thing?
I will have to agree with you on that, because I was as flat as a pancake and was never really the only time I had boobs was when I was breastfeeding, and I was a 38D.
Uh-huh.
And as soon as I would stop breastfeeding, I would be little again. But in the last 2 years, I gained 50 pounds. and I grew proportionately, and my boobs came up, and they're just like as if I was a 20-year-old. They're just perky and there, so I'm not experiencing the same thing that women my age normally have with the sagging boobs and everything. Mine are just like I was a 20-year-old.
Oh, that's so exciting. And how old are you right now?
Oh my gosh, I'm going to be 61 this year.
Well, I'm especially excited because I was just talking to a friend of mine about the law of attraction and the boob size, and I said, you know, I want my boobs to get bigger and firmer as I get older, and that's what I'm working toward. You know? And then you're proving to me that it is possible.
Yeah, they do. And I get more. I have a friend who complimented me the other day and told me that he remembered me from my 20s, and he said, "Oh my God, did you get a boob job?" And I was like, "No." And he was like, "They just look beautiful." And it was like, God, just come out of the clear and just tell me something like that, you know. And he is very boob oriented.
I'd like to say that, you know, we've evolved beyond the boobs and the ass, but I don't think we have. And so this is the game that we're playing. Maria, would you like to chime in, and Melby?
Yes, I would love to.
Go, Maria.
Yeah. I find this discussion so very interesting, and I've been thinking about, okay, so how was my relationships to my boobs when I was younger compared to now? And it was like Victoria said that, you know, one part of me always thought that my boobs could look better or greater, and another part of me was like, no, like there is something in the society we live in that is how we construct gender and gender roles and what it means to be a woman and how you're supposed to look like as a woman. Yeah. And I live in a society where like there is such a gender equality, so it would be like it's a kind of society where you as a woman are not seen. So it would be, and I noticed that as soon as I'm traveling outside of Sweden, that actually men do see me. So it's something in our culture that makes me like it's just gender neutral.
So wait. Let me get this straight. You're saying to me that in Sweden, you are gender neutral, like men don't express their.
Yes. Exactly, which means I don't feel myself being seen as a woman in the Swedish society. But as I'm living just across Copenhagen in Denmark, and just going over to Denmark, I can see a difference among the Danish people living in Denmark. So there is something in like the norm of welfare state created a gender equality where it's something ugly to be a woman. And I've been into my own process of really go deep into finding my feminine core, and it just struck me how I remember when I was I gave birth to my son many years ago, and you know when you have your breasts are filled with milk, I remember the first impression I looked into the mirror and I saw them, and I was thinking, wow, this is how it looks like to have boobs. Like, you know, I felt really beautiful. And that was a moment in my life, like, I really could feel like, wow, like this is amazing. And today I'm more in the sense of, you know, I'm very aware of, if in particular if I'm wearing tight clothes, that I have. Today you can have bras with paddings, right? So it can look like you have big boobs, even though you don't have big boobs.
Right.
So I'm very
water bras are great.
Water bras are great.
Yeah. So actually, you know, being conscious of when I'm wearing them, and there's actually situations when you don't want to have them, and you because it wouldn't look good on your clothes to have like a wonder bra. also, I think it's like that whole Wonder Bra series gave me so much more options how I would like to look like.
Wow, thank you. I have a Christy on the line, and she has really big boobs, and she'd like to say something. Is that true?
It is true that I have really big boobs, yes.
Welcome to the show. I'm so excited. I don't know you yet, but I look forward to get to know you.
Oh, well, thank you. A friend told me about this. I've never called in before, listened to your show.
Well, welcome.
So what would you like to know?
Well, how big are your boobs, and how what's your relationship with them?
It depends on the bra, but around a G.
Wow. I didn't know it goes that big. G for grand or what?
G for, like you go A, B, C, D, double D, E, F, G, in there. Sometimes, I spill out of a 40 double D.
Wow.
And it depends on the maker.
G for greatness. How's that?
G for greatness. And they're natural. I've never had anything done.
Yeah. And what's it like to have those? I don't even know what that would be like.
I think sometimes it's wonderful. They're very, very sensitive, and I really am in the place where I want them to be played with a lot. And because I have had long periods where they haven't been played with a lot, and so I really want them to be touched because they are so sensitive. But in clothing, it's really hard to get clothes that look good, and I don't go braless a lot, so sometimes I wish I had smaller ones that were, perky and, where I could just go braless and everything. But they've always been big since I was in junior high.
Wow. How did you survive that in junior high?
I did. I survived it just fine. I mean, they weren't this big in junior high. They were pretty big. I mean, I was up to a D.
So were you like the favorite for all the boys then?
I had boyfriends, but I didn't have a lot, but yes, I did. I had one older boy when I was 11, and he just, he had to touch them. So, but yeah, I mean, I would have to say I wasn't like I flaunted them to a lot of boys. No, I didn't.
Well, you didn't.
You know what it is? I don't think I ever really realized, and I still don't realize if there's any power to them. I don't realize that.
Wow. So
and I think
about that.
I'm getting an idea, or I'm like open to that idea, but I never really realized that they're really desired.
We actually have two men on the call. If they're brave enough to say something, I'm opening your mic up so that you can respond to Christy's comment right there.
Hi there.
Yes, go ahead, Stephen.
Christy, wake up. They're powerful.
Is that you, Stephen? Are you saying they're powerful?
No, that's Pete. That was Peter said that, I believe.
No, there's Keith and there's Stephen. And Stephen, are they powerful to you too?
Oh, I'm sorry. What did you say?
Are the boobs powerful to you also? Do you agree with what Keith said?
All boobs are powerful. Oh yeah.
All boobs are powerful.
Uh-huh.
Let's hear from the guys for a second. What makes the boobs so powerful to you?
My first thought is, for one thing, you're able to see them on a woman just walking down the street, even if she isn't undressed or anything. And whatever size they are, whatever shape they are, remind a man of wonderful things, for starters. And in my case, just a way to relax blissfully. The first thought, I take in the view with awe.
So for you, it's like awe and reverence.
Very good. Yeah.
That's so sweet. And Keith, what's it like for you?
Well, it's like I said, they're very powerful. I mean, men will do unusual things when they're in the presence of magnificent boobs. They're also very intimidating to me. I mean, not to all men, but to me they are. It's like they're so powerful. You feel like a subject in a royal court here. You know, you have to act right in the presence of great boobs.
Wow, that is just amazing. Ladies, what do you think about that?
I'm wowed over here, too, and I'm like, I never knew. I feel like I've just been given a whole new magic wand or something. I'm very excited.
You have this magic wand and you never use them fully.
Hey. Thank you, Keith.
You're welcome.
How about Maria and Patricia and Victoria? What do you think about what Keith has said? Oh, my God.
Wow. I feel powerful now. I mean, really, it does. I would like to hear more. I look forward to learning more about how men, really, I didn't know that.
Somebody has a lot of noise in the background, so I'm not sure which one to mute. So, the noise went away. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't either. Now it makes me want to run out and get a new pair actually, and try it out and see how it goes.
I look forward to getting new tops. I mean, I don't hide them, but I look forward to even showing them even more.
Well, a lot over the years when I play with this subject, the boobs, I actually have done a couple of fun things to explore this area. Like a few years back when I first got onto Facebook, I did something I called social experiment number 3, just randomly, and I went around and just ask random women out in the park and things like that to take a picture of their boobs and interview them about their boobs. What's their relationship to them? And it was just really fascinating, the responses that I got. If you look on my Facebook timeline way back when, you'll see some of the pictures and some of the comments that I got. And the one who had really nice big racks, the answer is always, yep, I got a lot of freebies from these boobies, like I love them and blah, blah, blah. And the one who was smaller tend to be more shy and less revealing, less wanting to talk to them, except for this one Chinese waitress in a Chinese restaurant that blew me away. She was she was just a homely lady, nothing big, and I don't know why I randomly just asked her, and she looked at me as if like she didn't understand English, and she goes, "Just a minute, please." And then she walked away, and then when she came back, she pulled her shirt, really tight over her body and said, "Okay, go ahead, you can take a picture of him." And she was just so proud of him as like a total model kind of thing. I'm like, wow, I've never seen anyone so open. They enjoy their boobs like that. So anyway, I'm just like, it's just fascinating to me, this boob subject and what Keith said about how he's in the presence of greatness. When you see great boobs, it just blows me away.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Did any of the women nurse their babies besides me?
I did.
I tried.
Did you?
Yes, but I had to supplement. I didn't actually have enough milk.
Did you experience orgasms as you nursed?
Yeah.
I did too.
I needed very little stroking, but I did very, very easily. Yeah.
I had orgasms every time I nursed.
Wow. Wow. You're probably looking forward to the nursing a lot then, huh? And how many kids did you have? 10?
No, just 2. But I nursed 10 months and 13 months.
10 months and yeah, I nursed for 18 months, and I did not achieve orgasm, but I definitely enjoyed it and had a great relaxation into it, and just felt a lot of life force and power went through them. How about you, Maria?
Yeah, I nursed for a very short period because I had problems and get very ill and sick, which is also related to my boobs, probably that, they became a trouble for me. Which ended that I had to bring in more supplement, and the milk just ran out. So for me, the boobs, they represent sort of the motherhood, right? In one way, and if they don't work, when you're living in a culture when you're supposed to nurse the child, it became very negative, the environment around me. Because at that time it was very rare with supplement.
Wow. And let's see, what else? Let's see. How about Michelle or Victoria? What do you think about this whole thing about the power of the boobs and what it commands when you walk in the room?
Well, this is Michelle. Having lived on both sides of it, being small-chested and then being larger-chested and then getting really large-chested when I put on weight, and it's like, wow. Yeah, no, it really, it does command a different level of attention, and the thing that I've found is getting comfortable with that level of attention.
Yeah.
And knowing how to consciously receive that energy from people without letting it get on me, if you will, and creating a negative impact on me. And that's taken me a long time to figure out how to do, actually.
Yeah.
Because I used to either shy away from it or misread it and take it for something more than it actually was. So it's a curious, powerful thing. But as I've gotten older and been able to manage that better and master it, I guess, or I don't know if I've mastered it, but appreciate it more. It's definitely more of a tool to be wielded with great care.
It makes me think of that scene in Austin Powers or something where the women were dancing and they have these coney breasts and they shoot out from their breasts. I don't know if you've seen that scene, but somehow that came up for me. It's like, oh, these are powerful tools here. I did get a couple of weird comments from Facebook from other women who said, why objectifying them? Why are we separating them as a piece to talk? But I think there's something really important here about they do command a presence. We do need to learn how to use them. I don't know, benevolently or responsibly. I don't know. Rather than just pretend like they don't, like that whole dynamic doesn't exist. I think it does exist a lot. Any comments on that?
Well, I think every sex symbol that's ever been was all big boobed women.
Right.
Marilyn Monroe, Jane Mansfield. I don't think of any powerful woman in Hollywood as being flat chested.
Sorry, I think I had myself muted out of that. I agree with that to a point. I mean, there's a lot of really beautiful, right now especially, the image of what beauty is really thin. And there's a lot of beautiful flat-chested women in the, Hollywood industry. And there's still...
but are they considered sex icon, though,
I mean, I would think so. I would think that if you looked at a list of, in some men's magazine of what beautiful women were, a lot of them are really athletic. That is a lot. But of course, they demand some power, but again, I think a lot of it is the women that are walking into the room with their boobs pushed up in whether it's fake boobs or a push-up bra. The women that are walking into the room with that are holding a different level of confidence.
Yeah, and so how does our boobs affect our level of confidence?
Oh well, I absolutely, I absolutely think that it affects the level of confidence.
Yeah, I just got a chat message from someone that said in the music industry and modeling industry, big-breasted women sell. They sell more than others, and it's true. So it's not like I'm not trying to convince everyone to go out and get breast. Although I just wanted to talk about this and look at this interesting thing that, we've tried to be so smart, we try to build up skills and all this stuff, and it's actually just what you have to your front chest, get you so much more than. I just think it's fascinating. What else is amazing?
Well, May, this is Michelle. It really does create a different level of self-confidence.
Yeah.
And how you walk through the world and how you view the world. And I've known folks women who are big breasted and actually hide. We're getting a lot of reverb.
I know. I don't know why it's so awful.
Yeah.
Turn your radio down.
Anyway, it.
I'm gonna try everyone and see if it does a difference.
There you go.
And except for Michelle.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you really well. Go ahead.
Yeah. Just noticing how I've held myself differently on both sides of it, but at the same time, self-confidence goes much deeper than that as well. So the more comfortable you are in your skin, the better you can own it, and the more easier I think it becomes to move through the world that way. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's all about taking our power back. And in order to take our power back, we have to be pretty conscious that we have it. So, it's okay to say, hey, this rack get me a lot of good stuff. And I own it, and I use it, and it's my choice, versus pretending like it's not there or getting upset that men only look there or they can only see your boobs and not your eyes, all that stuff. I'm like, well, heck, if you have it, use it, baby. Have a great time with it.
Yeah, there's a really fun book that I stumbled upon years ago, and I laughed at the title of it, and it's called How to Succeed in Business Without a Penis. And it's it was written by a woman who is a high-end ad executive on Madison Avenue, and she talks about how to really use all of your feminine wiles and your figure in a good way to advance your career, not in a demeaning or slutty way or anything like that, but just like, you've got these tools, use them. And I think it's a really valuable read for a lot of women to read, and it's really funny too. So, learning how to own our power is really key, and I think we've forgotten how to do that.
So, Victoria, is it true that when you got your boobs, your tips double? You might have to unmute yourself again.
Yeah, I did. Okay. What did you say, that they were double?
Is it true that your tips, the amount of tips that you collect, double?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my tips doubled.
And that's actually not an uncommon story.
Yeah. Yeah, they doubled. And on a regular basis, I haven't made less than double what I did every night before them.
Wow.
And I don't wear anything more revealing than I used to. In fact, I probably cover myself up a bit more.
Yeah.
But, you can still tell.
And do you find that you actually have more respect for men or less respect?
I don't really think my respect for men has changed in any way on that.
No, I mean, do men respect you more, or they show, or is it respect or just preference? And those are two different things, I guess.
I think, if anything, I think maybe I receive more respect, but I don't think it has anything to do with my boobs. I think it has to do with the fact that I'm really comfortable with myself right now, and I'm demanding more respect.
Yeah. Yeah. I just got a chat from a listener and said, as a man, I will say this, a woman already has power and she has to know that. That's really lovely. Thank you for that. Yeah. I think so too. I think we have powers. We have power with the hair, we have power with long legs, we have power with big boobs, we have power with intelligence, and so much, everything about us. And it's up to us to use them and to enjoy them. Anything else you want to talk about around the boobies?
Something I didn't mention about when I got the surgery, you were asking about the whole experience. The only moment that I had of concern or maybe even guilt was when I went into the surgery center to have them done. I kind of expected it to be like every other appointment that I had had, when I went into the plastic surgeon and it was a bunch of people in there, getting other similar things. So I went into the surgery center that day, and I walked in, and it was packed. And it was packed full of people that were having serious surgeries. And I don't know why. I just assumed it would be a bunch of other people getting boob jobs in the room, Yeah. And it was old people. It was sick people. And I had a few minutes of guilt of, here I am putting myself under, and spending thousands of dollars on something that could very well make me sick. And there's all these people sitting around me that are sick, and that would give anything to feel as healthy as I did. And that was the only moment of kind of guilt that I felt in the whole process.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Yeah. I also find it very interesting that there's so much guilt and so much judgment on what we do with our body, with our boobs and things like that. We have so much. I don't know why we do that, and we're very vocal about it, and we project it onto each other all the time. And I'm like, well, if she wants it and she gets it and she's good with it, it's all good. Now, I think I would be more concerned if you had gone out and got them and still not happy with yourself and still beat yourself up and still discussed it with yourself, then I'd be really worried about you.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people like that just get addicted to it. They want more and more and more because they're still not happy with themselves.
Yeah, yeah. I just saw a note from Patricia since I muted her. She said that, she said as a blonde she actually got more attention than when she was a brunette. And and when she got bigger boobs, blonde boobs get more attention. I guess that's what happens in America. I think that might happen in Asia too, though. Blondes and boobs would get. I don't know what it's like in Europe. So
yeah, what's up with the whole blonde thing? I've never really understood the blonde boob combination. As a redhead, it fascinates me.
Hey, as a petite Asian woman, with black hair and size B boobs, it's more than fascinate me. It's kind of like, this is the ideal that I'll never live up to.
Well, I have bleached blonde hair, and I've always had blonde hair. And it was probably 3 years ago, I was job searching, and I went to interview after interview after interview, and I wasn't getting the job. It could have been chance. It could have just been, the right interview. But I dyed my hair dark brown, went to an interview the next day, and got the job.
No way.
And I did notice I didn't get as much attention from men, but I got that job. And again, it could have just been a coincidence, but it was a job that I wasn't even really qualified for.
Oh, my God. That's so much fun. It's crazy.
Whether or not there was something there, who knows, but it definitely happened.
All these things that we put in front of, I don't even know. Like, I think we're all guilty of making decisions from those unconscious places.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, and so I want to talk about like boobs and sex play. Let's amp this up a little here. So, what do you notice about that, Victoria? Now that you actually have the before and after story too.
I haven't noticed anything with that, to tell you the truth. Nothing's really changed in my sex life.
Uh-huh.
Not at all.
Well, so like when have you play with them, with a partner?
Yeah.
Yeah. So does it feel any different? Does it feel better? Does it feel worse? Is it sexier?
No.
No,
it doesn't feel any different to me. It really doesn't. And I mean, I've always been really comfortable with my body, and I've always been comfortable sexually. So
yeah,
maybe that has something to do with it. The only thing, for probably the first 2 months after, I've only had one partner since I had him. And for probably, I think it was 2-3 months after I got him, my partner didn't even want to touch him because he was afraid that he was going to hurt me.
Right. They might pop or something.
Yeah, didn't want anything to do with him, was kind of scared of him. So, yeah, I haven't really noticed anything with them.
I think a lot of men are afraid of popping them or hurting them or something.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons why I'm afraid to get them, because I'm like, I don't want to not be touched or like my man not touch them.
Yeah, I've had plenty of guys ask to see him, or but when it actually comes down to being intimate with him, everybody seems more intimidated by him, like Keith said, if anything.
Interesting. Huh. So we're fascinated by them, we're drawn to them because they're big, but then when they're big and beautiful, then we're afraid of them and we run from them.
Yeah, probably.
That's human condition. That seems so sad. I mean, it's just so funny because it's very similar to the comments that I just got about my shows. A couple of my guy friends had mentioned last week, I did a pretty hot show last week where we did sex stories that my friends were writing and eroticas and stuff like that. And we were talking about sex and in a very open and powerful ways. And the comments that I got from some of the men were, that was a really intimidating conversation, and they couldn't get in on that conversation. So it's kind of like we want women to be open with our sexuality and open and strong and want sex, and then when we are, men are afraid of that, or some men are. and then we love boobs and we want them, and then when they are there, we're afraid of that.
What's up with that?
I don't know. I'm going to bring Patricia on that one. What's up with that, Patricia?
Well, I don't know. I was just commenting. My sister had a beautiful shape. She's half Samoan, and she's my half sister. She had a beautiful shape, but she was small, real small boobs, and she got a boob job. She grew into her boobs and became overweight. I'd never seen a transformation like that.
Interesting.
Yeah, but her boobs are probably one of the most beautiful boob jobs I've ever seen in my life. They don't look like grapefruits. Whoever her doctor was, made them look like they hung naturally. And when she lays down, hers don't stay up. They fall just like natural boobs when you lay down. And unless she told you, you would not know she had had a boob job.
Really?
Whatever he did a beautiful job on them and made it to where that when she lays down, her boobs go down just like normal, and you cannot tell she's had a boob job.
Wow. They're kind of like that for you too, though, right, Victoria? Uh-oh, you have to unmute yourself again. Yeah, that's the other thing that stopped me from having boob jobs is like when they're like melons in front of me and they feel separate from the woman.
Yeah.
But I've seen Victoria's boobs. I haven't seen them fully, but I've seen a lot of it, and it just looks so natural and so beautiful. I'm like, hey, I see possibilities here.
Well, my girlfriend My girlfriend had them, and they looked like two big grapefruits just sitting there. And they, like when she moved, they just stayed right there. Oh. They didn't move with her. They had no natural flow at all.
Oh, that's awful. That's
but
not.
I think my biggest worry in having a boob job, I don't need it because I'm a 38D naturally, and my biggest concern in having it is losing the sensitivity that I have because my boobs are like the highest point of sensitivity for me.
Oh, how is that, Victoria? Where did she go?
Patricia.
I know. I wanted to get from Victoria.
Oh.
What's her opinion on that one?
I'm sorry. I think my phone is cutting out a little bit.
Oh, okay. So how is the sensitivity?
I still have full sensitivity. In fact, if anything, I have more sensitivity than I did.
Yay! I love this. It just shows that you can have it the way you want it.
Yeah. That was one thing that they told me was that I might lose sensitivity. But, yeah, if anything, they're more sensitive. Because they kind of feel, oddly enough, a little bit numb.
Yeah.
When you touch them or when I get cold, they feel a little bit numb. And so the sensitivity is just stronger.
Huh. Interesting. Well, thank you so much, ladies, for joining me on the call today. I can't believe it. The hour is already gone by. And thanks for shedding the light on the boobs and what your relationship of them are. As usual, my show is about bringing the healthy voice of sex into the conversation. And my ultimate goal is to help us get a hold of our sex, own it, play with it, have power over it so that we can unleash ourselves. And as we unleash our sex, we will unleash our power. This is a doorway to abundance and success that we always wanted. Talk to you next time. My next show will be next Monday. I haven't decided on the topic for that one yet, so we'll have to see what come out of that one. Have a great week, everybody. And thanks again, Patricia and Michelle and Victoria, to join me on the call today. Any last words you want to leave with them? Okay, you have to unmute yourself. Any last words you want to say before we say goodbye?
Great job.
Great job. Thank you.
Thank
you so much. Bye.
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 Thank you for listening to Sex, Lies, and Consciousness.
You can find May on Facebook by liking her page, Sex, Lies, and Consciousness, or hang out with her on Google+. To find her, type in the URL gplus.to/Mayvu, gplus.to/MAIVU.